Back speaking with our Chief Operating Officer, Mike, this morning. Morning, Mike.
Morning, Andrew. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Look, a couple of days back, we got this RNS out, the full results here from recent drilling at Creswick, in particular at Davey Road. We've seen a significant increase here in the overall grades. Just give us a bit more detail as to what we're learning.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been a great sort of early result at Davey Road. It was our sort of pathfinder of the two projects, with Kuboid Hill being the other. We drilled it just before Christmas, and the results have came back, particularly promising. Initial results showed us we'd got 23 grams a ton, best grade, and having done some additional test work and analysis, that's improved quite considerably.
I suppose really this subsequent bulk sampling, that's really honed in our focus and given us a greater picture as to what's happening. So what do these results mean for ECR?
Yeah, I mean, look, what it means is that the geology subsurface is showing sort of contiguous gold. So you've got multiple meters of gold at a reasonably decent grade. We've got, of course, coarse nuggety gold, which is what we anticipated for Creswick in this part of Australia. So what it means for us is the sampling method that's been undertaken is one where we can encapsulate as much of the gold as possible, but we want to give a fair and reasonable result, and the only way we can really do that is by submitting the whole of the bag for testing. So we send in initially a 2 kilogram sample. That's split into 2 times 1 kilogram samples, and then we leach one half, we assay the other to encapsulate what we've got. We look at those results. We look to see where we are finding sort of oxidated quartz in the bag. So we've measured that in a journal when we're doing the drilling, and we report that to ourselves. And then we look for the first set of results, and those results will indicate where we think the best results are sitting. And given its coarse nuggety gold, the difference between the results being okay and very good can be just down to a very small nugget. So we put the whole bag in at that point, and we see whether our suspicions are correct. On this occasion, it has been, and we think it's we're not coming out and measuring 50-gram sample or a 250-gram sample. We're putting in a 30-kilo sample approximately. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's a little bit more. But we think that's important. So then you've got a broader view of a decent sample size, so we can give a bit of an accurate look at it. But I don't want to kind of dwell too much on the technical side of testing. We got the results from the laboratory, and they showed that we got 41 grams, and we're thrilled with that.
And as Nick says in the RNS, the results at Davey Road, very promising. A bit earlier this morning, Mike, you were on the phone to our chief geologist, Adam Jones, who's up the road a bit at Kuboid Hill. What's the latest there?
Yeah, I mean, the weather's quite hot, so we're fortunate that we're drilling in a piney forest. So there's plenty of shade to keep the guys protected. It is incredibly warm. I think when I spoke to Adam, it's 37 degrees. So yeah, they're earning every dollar at the moment. Things are going exceptionally well. We've hit a lot of quartz. There's visible oxidated quartz. These are all the things that you want to be looking for when you're looking in this sort of geological feature. And yeah, it looks a bit early to say, so we caution people to wait on results. That is the messaging, but it looks to be going a heck of a lot better there than Davey Road. So can't guarantee what the outcome will look like, but yeah, so far so good, and we're really happy with what's going on. We have got some samples out at the laboratory. People are kind of probing for timelines. I understand if people are getting a bit excited about these potential results, and they're looking to try and get some guidance. We've got some of the results gone straight off to lab, so they're underway, and the guys are still drilling ahead. So hopefully we'll have some additional good news to follow with that as well. But let's wait and see.
And Mike, a couple of days back, Nick had an interview with our friends at Total Market Solutions, the subject of MGA tax losses that was touched upon, and since a fair amount of speculation has surfaced. Can you give us a bit of detail? Can you shed some light on the subject?
Look, Nick went to Australia, and he didn't go there for the good of his health. So It was important to get down, to meet the team on the ground, to get out in the field, have a look at the assets, to run the real over the company. Naturally, any investor would expect that to happen. Nick went to Australia on a economy class ticket. It's a long way to go, so he didn't do that for the fun of a business trip and a jolly up, which is, I think, what happens in some of these companies. Nick and I have to stay true to the messaging and the narrative, and that is, Nick's a bit mean and tight-fisted. I'm a little bit more generous, but still a northern man, so we don't like spending a lot of cash. So he definitely didn't go out there for the comfort of the journey. However, he had a number of key strategic meetings whilst he was in both Perth and in Melbourne. And we think that the tax losses are incredibly interesting and they're potentially very valuable to somebody. Those tax losses are accumulated at about $75 million. We've taken some external third-party advice on the tax losses, and they've been discussed over probably 5 years. I think you can go back to 2018 and 19. People were talking about tax losses and the potential for them to be unlocked. And to date, that hasn't happened. But, we were told when we came into the company that there were assets within the business that we would never dispose of. We would never drill. We would never stay in the field in Queensland as long as we did. And all of those things we've managed to achieve. We've cut down the cost and the overhead. We've changed the structure of the board. The board have supported us with now becoming sort of equity stakeholders within the business. I think eventually the market will get the message, and that is it's a gauntlet that gets thrown down to us. When you say it can't be done, we like to think it can be. We've got an additional property for sale, which will bring in some additional revenue. Our previous disposal of the Quartet rig generates $33,000 a month, which just about covers our DNA as well. So financially, we're in a much stronger position than the company's been for quite some time, and we're able to make quite a lot of advances. So seeing the speculation regarding tax losses and Nick's visit to Australia, I think is fair and reasonable. We have been doing some work there, and we've had a number of key strategic meetings. We met with an interesting tier one mining company when we were down at Resourcing Tomorrow. We didn't really want to focus too much on it because it may be considered to be unfair or misleading to start talking about those types of meetings. But you go back to 2020, and the previous CEO of this company was discussing a tier one company being in the data room. So I think what we're saying is there's enough for us historically and more recently to see that there's interest in the business. That's not to say that a deal will be concluded, and it's not to say that we'll dispose of tax losses. But what we can say with some confidence is we're going to give it our absolute best go. And in the meantime, we'd like investors to focus on the operations and what we're doing. We had some great results from Queensland and at Lulworth. They were kind of overlooked. People don't seem to have much of a focus for Blue Mountain, and we've obviously got our asset at Tambo. We believe that we can replicate what we're doing here at Creswick. We can move quickly. We're agile, and we hope that we're demonstrating that the bark's as good as the bite.
But look, Mike, you mentioned a minute ago about the structure of the board. Just finally, some news this morning, an announcement here about David Tang, our chairman, stepping back into a non-exec director role. A show of support by both David and the board for yourself and Nick in terms of the future leadership of ECR.
Yeah, I mean, David's been with the company for quite some time, and I've seen some unpleasant things wrote about David over the recent years. I think what happens with bad markets and frustrated shareholders is people come to a conclusion that often isn't really a fair representation. David has overseen this company through a difficult transition, and we're grateful for the opportunity of working together. And we think that the historical knowledge of the business is important to retain and maintain. And David's a big part of that. So, personally, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm hopeful that the change is again indicative of the direction that the company wishes to go in. David and the board obviously believe that this is a good choice, a good decision, and Nick and I are absolutely thrilled by it. We don't intend to sit in post for years and years with this business. We intend to grow it and build it quickly. And in the not too distant future, we hope to start to see signs of that.
Good to catch up, Mike. Looking forward to some news in the near term regarding results at Kuboid Hill.
Don't think we'll have too long to wait, but thanks for your time, Andrew. Have a great day.